Do you want the yellow signs,
Hey.
those things?
Yeah, we should
Wait.
make it official.
It's I gotta tell the weather. I gotta say the weather. It is 69 degrees outside.
Nice.
Today's high is 88 and the low is 69.
Nice.
I got 80. We're just taking 80.
Guys, I wonder if there's a body in that body forest.
Alright, so this was our forensic entomology project, and this video details us going through the process of how we determined where our meat samples were placed there. So starting off, we want to discuss the 7 S's of crime scene investigation. We originally started off by securing the scene by putting in the caution tape and making sure that no one else was coming in. There were no witnesses to separate, so we managed to skip that one. We scanned the scene to see where they were. We usually took a circular pattern, a spiral pattern. Then we we saw the scene. We took close-ups and used triangulation to determine how long things were. And for sketching the scene, we used the video documentation to create a better picture of what the thing is. And then finally, we searched for evidence.
So throughout this process, we were able to see the samples of the meat change from one day over the weekend to the next day, and we were able to see the effects of the decomposition with the maggots and the yellow jackets taking over on this process. And throughout this process, we took pictures and videos, and then we also collected samples of the maggots to bring back to the lab. When we brought them back to the lab, it solidified our point that it was the California vomitoria.
Trying to get away. It's just sweet. They're crawling in and out of there like a little hole.
Oh, God. Anyone want to tell me about the smells you're smelling?
Tasty smell.
I'm trying not to smell.
Yeah, let me smell.
Take a good whiff.
Oh.
Waft it.
Smells
Yep.
like meat.
Yeah, it smells like meat.
Sickening
Wonder why we smell that. Alright, I'm gonna try and catch some flies with some skills.
Here we go. Oh, they're still moving.
Ew, oh my god, I smell that. He says they
Tell me
they
what you're
die
smelling right now.
eventually.
Not very good.
It's not very good.
Look at it. It's
We're not
swimming.
smelling anything very good. We got maggots that are just kind of getting drunk right now. They're getting crunk.
They really are. You want some more maggots?
I'm jealous.
You're doing so good.
You just gotta go in there.
I think we found the maggot mass because that's where like literally all of them are.
Thanks.
Oh yeah, dude. Oh, they're falling everywhere.
So the first thing that we learned in this unit was how to identify a maggot based on a dichotomous key. And we did this by placing them under a microscope and figuring it out by looking at the key. And through this lab, we were able to find out that the maggots found at the site were the California vomitoria.
The next thing we did is we learned how to fill out an ADD chart in order to find the minimax days for colonization.
This is an ADD chart, which is used to create a rough estimate of the PMI, the post-mortem interval. You start by putting in the date the samples were taken. In this case, we started September 30th. You then input the weather data for the area that you are in, and then you do some math to convert into out-of-degree days to create a post-mortem interval.
The post-mortem interval by determining where our larval maggots is like in their development, whether in the third, second, or third instar. Then we use that to determine a max. So we know they're not in their pupa stage, but we know they're in the third instar. So that gives us a window of ADD where they could be.
Something interesting that I thought to note here is how to determine what instar the particular maggot is in. So by there you look at the spherical slits inside of the posterior end of the maggot, and then from there you can see the little ovular slips there that they grow. So in the first instar you see they only have one little oval in there, third instar and they'll have 3. So that's how we determine what stage of the cycle the maggot is in to help us determine how long the maggot has had to grow.
We learned a approximate PMI. We went to find the average length and statistics as to how long our maggots are to narrow down that PMI so we can get it close to roughly a day to determine whether it's closer to the minimum or closer to the maximum day or somewhere in between.
So as we were looking at the maggots under the microscope, after we pulled them out from under the microscope, we measured them and found the average length between all of our maggots. We used this to figure out that it was closer to the min day of colonization.
As you can see, this is the growth chart for the California vomitoria. It's kind of hard to see because of the graph is just, it is what it is. Anyway, so using this graph, we were able to plot where our specimens that we found, the maggots, so we put the statistics, so the average and all that stuff goes here. I drew a little box to help me out. But the average fell like literally right on the minimum day. So that told us it was really close to the minimum day. But that also could have been due to the fact that we only picked up like any maggot we could find, and we didn't look for the biggest ones we could, which is what you're supposed to do. So we instead went for the third quartile, which is around here, which gives us like maybe a couple of hours outside of the window, the day that we thought. So it's a couple. So we're not too far off the min, but we're not right on it, is what we determined. And then I found a better one online that used added degree hours instead. So I used that to create an approximation to how many hours the maggots have had to grow. Alright, so using this information, we were able to determine that the meat samples were probably placed at September 25th. However, I'm an overachiever, so I decided to determine the exact hour. So we plotted with the length the closest day. So I took that day and did added degree hours and used the third quartile of our maggot samples to determine that it was probably within the hours of 5 and 6. And Mr. Hubbard, our eyewitness, confirmed that it was at the hour of 5 p.m. on September 25th.
While on the scene, we did find some evidence. We found a pack of cigarettes, a receipt for the cigarettes, and a bunch of candy wrappers that could have helped point towards who might have done this. But even though we had this evidence through the ADD chart, we were able to calculate the exact day of when it was placed out there.
Whew. Gosh, look at all those maggots crawling around in there.